Would you call the roll, please?
Still one.
We're going. Chairman here. Commissioner Moore. Commissioner Moore. Here. Commissioner Robinson. Here. Commissioner Hamel. Councilor Bernard. Okay. Let's have approval of the minutes, just so I don't forget to do that at the end of the meeting. I make the motion to approve the minutes of August 4th. I'll second. Thank you. Sure. Yes. Commissioner Moore? Yes. Commissioner Robinson? Yes. Okay, so the first item on our agenda is Mr. Jackson is here, and that's for 13 Pine Street. If you look at the beginning of your packet, Mr. Jackson has had a lot of trouble with these particular tenants. And we feel for you. There's nothing worse than that. And in fact, it sounds like they were terrible from the beginning. Have you made any progress with getting them out? I mean, this is just my...
Yes, yes, absolutely not. I hired a lawyer. You got to remember now, from the last 2 years has been the pandemic, so we couldn't do anything for, I think, until last January, then we moved it to April or whatever. So I hired a lawyer. They had been receiving assistance from the Otsego County Association. Yes. And even though the rent was paid by Otsego, they still owed like $59, $60. Well, they got behind 3 months. And I said, well, this is a good opportunity for me to do the eviction notice. So I hired a lawyer, got the eviction notice, called the Otsego Kimberly, and said, Kimberly, I understand, and their status changed with children being in the house and then not being in the house. So I said, Kimberly, my rent now is $800. I said, I'm not going to. She said, fine. And I said, now you're not going to pay the back rent, right? And she said, oh, no, we'll just pay this. Well, 2 months later, they paid the back rent. So there goes my eviction notice, because the eviction was for not paying. So then, and this was my fault, you sent out this letter about going to 13 Pine, and I didn't pick up the letter until the 24th, which was a Monday. I looked at it and I saw it and I said, oh crap, I should have gone to the post office Friday or Saturday. So anyway, I just have some receipts here, because what I do periodically, by the way, the house has garbage pickup removal, but they only pick up a certain amount. So, on different occasions, I spent $70 taking a mattress and then other material. Another time I spent $40. I just brought this because this is in the May-June time frame when another mattress was out on the lawn. And it's not the $150 that I'm concerned more about with. It's the fact that I live in Richmondville. I can't drive down every day and see what they're going to put out on the lawn, which they do. And I'm at a loss as to exactly what to do. I've still got my lawyer, and just recently, one of their dogs bit somebody. So, and by the way, I realized the police report that was filed, I asked for the police report on the Tuesday that it was done. Called the police department and said, well, it's not done today. They've done anything. So it will be done in a day or two. I said, fine. He gave me the number. Said, call back, we'll get you the report. Well, I called back. No, can't give you the report. The report's in City Hall. If you want the report, you have to pay so much money to get the report. Now, I think this is absolutely ludicrous. I mean, here I have to come to Oneonta. They won't email it, by the way. I have to come to Oneonta and pick it up. Anyway, this is my long story. with his family. I am at my wit's end as to what I can do because now they're paying the rent. I'm going back to my lawyer with the dog because the post office now will not deliver mail to the house. The poor lady, or not poor, the woman that lives upstairs, she has to now go to the post office. I'm paying for her box, that's real, because she's a great person. But I called the post office and I said, why are you not delivering to the person upstairs? Well, of course, they have to go to the house. And the boxes, one is on the porch and one is in the back. So, the story is that they will not deliver now any mail to this house until both tenants are gone. And I just said to the lady, I said, why are we penalizing the person upstairs? I know, you've probably heard these stories, I'm going on and on, but anyway, this is what's happened at 13 Pine Street. I'm being fined now $150 because I don't remove the trash, or the trash. I have people, or have a garbage man comes once a week, Thursday afternoon, takes garbage. These people manufacture garbage. I don't know, they may stay up at night and do it. I don't know what they do. But anyway, this is my situation, this is my story, and I'm sticking to it. So that's all I can tell you. And if anybody has any idea on how I could get rid of these tenants, because this is my home. This used to be my home. My grandparents owned this in the 40s. Then I inherited when my grandmother died. It's a nice home. I love it. But it's time. I'm getting rid of the house. I can't do it anymore. But anyway, there's my sob story. And
if we hadn't picked it up, we could give you a break, but we did pick it up, and it cost us money to
Right.
take it to the trash. And you know, we have to hire someone to do it. You know, I feel for you. I would say that one of the solutions would be to link up somehow with a property manager here in Oneonta who could stop by every day and check on it. That's what many people who live out of town do. I think you guys have probably offered that.
no, it's mandatory. I have to have a property manager.
Well, who's your property manager?
The woman that lives upstairs.
And she doesn't call you and say there's stuff all over the front yard?
Well, at different times she does, yes.
Well, she should be doing it every day, because that, of course, would save you from, like, every time there's something out there, she should be saying, oh, there's something out there, so that we don't pick it up, because we don't want to.
No.
We want you to take care of your property, and I feel, I can't tell you how sad I am for you that that this has happened to your family property.
Yeah.
You know, you are an absentee landlord, but you're not a landlord who is trying to.
It's my own fault because I don't want to drive down here every day to pick up garbage, you know, that's why I'm getting rid of this house. I am not going to do that, and I can't stop them from manufacturing this garbage. I'm just trying to get rid of these people. I know I'll pay the $150 fine.
I'm afraid I haven't polled, I mean, we're a Democratic board, so I may have certain feelings, they also may have certain feelings about it, but you know, we're very sympathetic, we're just citizens, we, you know, just are serving as a civic duty. We understand how frustrating it must be, but we also have a fiduciary responsibility to the city. That when we do something, when the city does something that is legitimately done, we have to support. So other questions for Mr. Jackson?
I see one other question. Are you in touch with your tenant? This tenant?
Sheila
Do they
Thompson?
allow you in to see the inside of the property?
Yes, they do, and I do go in there at least 2 or 3 times a year. But they have one dog now, and I'm not afraid of dogs, but at the same time, and this is not an excuse for not going in, okay? I'll go in.
I'm aware of
Yeah.
the situation. I was wondering if the property is being able to be maintained with inside, I mean.
Actually, it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
Sheila and Kyle are pretty decent inside. I mean, I wouldn't live like that, but it's crowded. There are 6 kids and 2 people, and I don't understand how the department, yeah, I don't understand why they allow them to be there. I called and said, can you have this many people? And they go, yes. And I go, what? So, anyway,
Depends on the number of pictures.
I don't know what other avenue to go to. If I did,
And we don't know what to
I know,
tell you either.
yeah.
It's a very tough time for all landlords.
uh,
Additional questions? No.
You want me to make some? Sure. I make a motion, unfortunately, to deny the appeal. I'm sorry.
fine.
Commissioner Livermore? Thank you for coming in.
Yep.
Sorry you're in this situation.
No, I'm fine. It's fine. I'm a member of our board in Richmondville. I know how like this go. I mean, obviously it's a little bigger than Richmondville, of course. And,
Because of our college population, we have stringent rules.
oh, I know, I went to college.
So you guys need to move back into your family home and then problem solved.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. So, can I just mail in the check?
Of course.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And you'll have time now. Like, it wasn't accumulating
Fees, no fees.
interest, because once you appeal it, that's okay, it kind of puts it on hold.
Yeah.
So you can send a check, whatever.
Yeah, thank you.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for coming in. Our next item on our agenda is 32 State Street. You're here for that. Would you like to come up front? Yeah, sure. And sir, would you just identify yourself for the clerk, just so she knows you're here?
Jeffrey Davido, Chester Street.
Yeah, great. I thought that's who you were, but thank you. So, tell us, the appeal says that we didn't do the mowing that you did, or someone, your landscaper did. The problem is that our evidence shows that we did it. We have photographs showing that we did the lawn, from the time that the person arrived at the property and took the first picture of the grass. A half an hour later, it was clear and he was still there. He didn't just go. So that's our evidence, but you go ahead. In fact, I'm going to give you the photographs here. Just come right over here. So what would you like to say?
So we got the notice on June 7th that we needed to cut the grass by the next day. So then we had our landscaper go there the 8th, which was the day because you said you had the time to cut the grass by.
That actually wasn't the deadline. The deadline is 48 hours after it's identified. And actually, we didn't have to give you notice. The 8th was the reinspection, which we were going to come back during business hours.
Okay.
So that's one of the problems, is that that wasn't the deadline. That was we're coming back to check, and it probably was 8 a.m.
Okay. That was part of it, so I guess.
That's right. I mean, in our code, it says that you have 48 hours to get your stuff cleaned up. And that, from the time that it's identified, and we don't act, well, I'll give you the section of code in just a second. I think I have it. Oh, you know what, I put it, I made a special copy last time. Anyway, I think it's 248, section 248, sub 51, And that's why we went ahead and did it. And there's no evidence that your guys did it.
Okay.
But maybe the backyard behind the fence?
It could have been my dad who would know more, but I'm not sure.
We wouldn't go near it on the fence.
Pardon me?
We wouldn't go near it on the fence.
No, you wouldn't mow, you're mowing the exterior part, right, of course, not
The
the
line fence, we're not going near it.
So additional questions related to, well, why don't you go through the pictures on the screen? So this is the front yard before it was mowed. And there is a, our code says it can't be higher than 10 inches. And then this is after it was mowed at 147.
Gotcha.
And then this is the side yard, which I don't know whether that's before.
Yeah, that's a before, that's a after.
So that just shows the extent of the work that was done. That's the evidence we have.
I don't know. I think we were going based off of like the APA, so like that was what
And
we.
it's- Just tell them it's 48 hours. It's not,
Yeah.
it's not the date of the reinspection. The reinspection means we're coming back to see if you did it, but if it's not done by,
Yeah, I understand. I completely get it.
do we have, I'll make a motion that we deny this appeal.
Okay.
A second.
Second?
Chairman,
Yes.
Commissioner Lummer?
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item, I've got a weird problem on the agenda here, because, the next item is the blighted property at 35 Grand Street. I don't know if you all remember this property. It's a little yellow house. Mrs. Schimmerling came in, her daughter was going to buy it. It turns out they sold it. And under our code, a new owner is not expected to meet a blighted, the blighted thing goes away with a new owner. That's
The
what
fee
code-
goes away?
The fee goes away. The blighted designation goes away. They get 6 months to do something about it, and then we go back. So once there's a new owner, we generally do not, it doesn't carry over.
So the fees from October are relinquished because she sold it in July?
Well, the fee wasn't from October, was it?
Well, that was the original.
I think she,
start of
that
it.
went on her taxes.
And then May
It's the
gave
May one, it's the
May.
May one that she doesn't have to pay. The other one went on her taxes.
Why are we letting them get away with paying fees when they sold it 2 months later?
So, here's what happened. I guess the current owner, this is just background information so that you know, the current owner was in negotiations with Carol Schimmerling in February of 2022.
Okay.
So there was back and forth and back and forth. I guess there were some financing issues. I was continuously emailing Carol, and I said, you gotta tell me, you gotta give me a closing date, you gotta tell me something. This fee went into effect this year, so in May, because I hadn't heard anything. I hadn't heard anything from Carol, and the next thing I heard was from the son-in-law, Carol's son-in-law. It said, we're literally about to sit down at the table next week. And I said, well, we've got there's a fee, you might need to let somebody know if there's a fee involved. And I said, I can't just make it go right. It has to go in front of the board. So they closed, they sold the property. Actually, I think shortly before, Bob Goulden contacted me and said, there is a blighted fee, what's this about? And I said, well, that was for the property, she didn't meet the blighted, a restoration agreement, she misstates. So we implemented it in May. And he said, so they're gonna have to pay this? And I said, you're gonna have to pay it unless you try to appeal it. And the son-in-law appealed it. And I told Bob Rubin, I said, they may deny it. If they may waive it, they may deny it. The only thing is, if they make it stick, then you better tell Carlo, the new owner, he's gonna have a $2,500 fee. So that's why we got the appeal. Because Gail was like, I need to send second notices, I need to send this out, what's going on?
Because the fee goes to the property, not the owner.
Right. So he will be penalized.
Well, that's not fair.
You know, and I'm of a...
Well, typically what happens is these fees close out with closing, so so what happens is, when you buy a property, these typically would close out, like, if you have overdue inspections.
Right.
We bill a previous owner at closing, we're like, hey, by the way, you owe the code office 10 grand.
Right.
In this case, because they appealed it, it puts it on hold, it's not really, it doesn't close out.
So we gotta learn resistance, what you tell them.
Well, in this one random case.
All right, well, that's not, now that I understand, thank you.
Okay, and I obviously didn't have the right information. So I'm of a mind to let it go because they finally were forced to sell the property. That's my position. But you can do what you will.
Well, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the appeal based on the fact that it's been sold, and that I don't believe the new owner should have to recoup the cost of.
As long as it's not avoided the next time we hear about it.
Right.
We should try to figure that out too.
Say what?
Steve was just saying that we had a building permit on the property, because it did require substantial
Yeah.
work done to it, and as far, we don't have any of that documentation yet.
We just have the
So
house
the person
sold
bought-
as of July.
Yeah, the person bought the house and there's no plan in place.
Oh.
So the house is currently in the condition it's in now.
So then can I put forth that we look at this property today as a blighted property currently and start that process?
I think you can keep the blighted determination, because the house can be blighted without having a fee.
Okay.
He would need to submit, you'd make an order for a new restoration agreement.
Okay, so we can keep the blight that's already in place
Right.
and have the new owners come up with a plan and then not have to worry that nothing's gonna happen going forward. Okay, I'm good with that.
All right, so poor Carrie, she got it about a jillion different things there.
That's
So
my motion.
your position is, maintain the determination of blighted for the new owner, notify them that they will need a property or a restoration agreement within 30 days, and we will revisit it at the October meeting.
Yes. And waive the fee.
Right. Okay, we're good?
It's my
All
motion.
right. Is any,
I'll second it.
okay.
Yeah. Commissioner Romero?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now we're ready for you, Mr. Stephen Neal.
Do you mind if I sit down?
Oh, no, you're happy. No, stay right there. We're all sitting. We're not. You don't need to stand up. You also have a blighted property in 14 Chester.
I have a few issues that will be resolved in the city of Romeo.
Oh, yes, well, right now, this is what we're talking about. And let me ask the code enforcement office question. Do we have a restoration agreement on 37 Chestnut for Mr. Ibrahim?
14 Chester, no, we don't.
So why don't we have a restoration agreement?
Because I've had this problem since I bought the property. And I'm straightforward. Every property that I own in Romeo Hunter, you can find a siding or roofing and a roof top, they're all beautiful. Until I can find somebody, I can't get nothing done. I got all new windows, I had them installed on Rose Avenue and Division Street. I can't find
Well, my
siding.
question is, have you submitted anything to the code enforcement office notes that looks like a timetable for getting these things done. Do you have,
How can I give you a timetable when I can't get any feedback from somebody to come and do the work?
Do you know the restoration agreement that you put in place with the city can always be rectified and changed as long as you're showing progress or showing some kind of good
Yeah,
faith?
so you're saying,
The second problem is, and I already heard in the past about the issue with DSS and stuff like that, that was a whole other situation. The guy should be in jail, shouldn't be on the streets. There's new people living in there. In the last year, you probably haven't had any problem with garbage or snow problem or anything like that. So I really don't know what you're looking for, honestly.
well, that's why you talk to these guys, because they will tell you what we're looking for. We're looking for a plan to repair the property, and it can be stretched out a little bit. It's just that hearing nothing from you means that
It's not that you can hear anything, because I did call numerous times. The whole, if you want to go through the timeline of events, from the time the water property fee occurred, and before that, since Kodak, March, Kodak started, no one paid rent. Everyone said, oh, I can't pay rent, Kodak, no. Then we reached a moratorium, couldn't get me. I filed a pathway in August of 2020. I had surgery in January of 2021 for replacement pacemaker. Okay, so my dilemma right now is, I have to find somebody that can be consistent up here. Not now that we're going to be approaching the winter time, because these fees that I have to pay for all the properties is probably like $8,000. Because people are so not right. Because I went through, I can give you documentation from when I bought the property, the people that were in either opportunities for see, well, I'll pay the first one. They couldn't murder these people, they check the housing, they check that they're living with, they check the garbage, they check the food if I'm molding the food. These people, this is why, between you, off the record here, about Minnesota, our government, we pay a lot of people a lot of money to do jobs that they're not doing appropriately or correctly. There's a small percentage of people that do the right thing. And if you watch the economy, if you watch the way things are going with prices, that's why I'm going with that. It's not the war, the war is adjusting now for the price of gas. Maybe going down $1, but what's your price of milk and eggs? You're not, people are mad about that, that's not the point. The point is that you guys have people that do the work, right?
I'm sorry, but it's your responsibility to take care of your property. You own most
But
of the
if I
property.
can't find people to do
It's
the
still your
work,
responsibility, just
then
like it's my responsibility.
I can have people come up here, that I'm recording for, do the property, and get fined.
It's your responsibility to take care of the property, and you get a list of people that take care of
So
the
we're going to
property.
try to find out and take a lot of time. You guys can figure it
I'm
out.
sorry you feel that way, but I have to take care of my property.
I've been doing it for years.
I have to take care of my
My
property.
neighbor, a
I
police officer,
have
got
to
drug out shooting fucking dope, we go through the parking lot, I found one in the Bishop Street. When I go up here today,
So
nobody cares.
you need to call the cops
They
about
don't
it.
care, they don't want to know anything about it. I'm gonna bring these people up here to get the roofing, the siding, the windows, all this stuff done. I'm gonna have to look brand new. You know, we've got 50 houses, I'd say in the next 3 years, you're gonna see what's gonna happen, it's gonna be really bad. You see the immigrants coming in from Texas, where they go? They're going from the city to Orange County to Sullivan County, they're staying in the work, they're working, they're taking their money, and they're giving it back to their friend in those foreign countries. So you have no idea how bad it's gonna get. You really don't have an idea. Hope your grandkids, hope your pension quit, hope your 401k quit, you diversify, you have dividends that go into your cash account, not back to the stock, because it's a wipeout. And this cryptocurrency, look at it. Was it 60,000? Wasn't that 90,000?
Mr. Biddy,
Why does it have to
thank you.
The world.
Thank you.
I have a lot to do with this. You're not even forward.
Do you have a local agent? Do you have a
I
local?
have nobody. Nobody wants to be consistent. I can have a guy in the middle of the street and shovel snow from up here, but if I'm not up here, nobody's reliable. Nobody.
Well, that's not our experience.
I know, it's not your concern, but you really don't care about the citizens. No, you said earlier that you're a citizen, we care about the citizen, and then you do, but you know what? DSS, City Opportunities, Head Start, River Street, oh, we'll give me the first 2 months, I'll help these people find a job. I'll do this. Well, you know what? That was in the past. I already experienced that in the city of Atlanta. I'm above that now. I have plenty of opportunities. I moved out here because it was affordable, but it's not manageable.
I'm sorry you feel
You
that.
know, I know, you're really sorry, but you don't care when somebody's going for a hardship. You really don't care.
Yes,
Because I can see all the fines that have been approved, and people should be in jail. Kid has no pension ordinance. Where's the money going? Who's paying for that? You, me, and him. He's your tenant. He's my tenant? Yeah. You're not him. You can't evict him without an eviction moratorium, can you?
Not an eviction moratorium right now. We've done evictions.
You never did now. About a year and a half ago.
Okay.
It's been that way since he started. An eviction moratorium. Do your research. You really don't care. Then you know what you're
I
nervous.
do, because you
No, you
bought the
don't.
property before that, so you didn't
No, the blind
agreement,
property was in August 2020.
and you didn't come up with a restoration agreement.
My
That's
father
what
said,
it would be.
you think that I'm concerned about my property, not what about your dirt. You got some nerve. You got some nerve. You really got some nerve. Do what you want with the feet, you know what? Thank you.
I don't think you're any kind of restoration agreement.
So the side note there is this property isn't even widespread rental. Like, it's not even a legal rental property. Like, it's just,
There's no CO.
no, it's just a house. And that's been going on since, what, 2017, I think, the first time we went there.
Now, you know, I don't want to spend any more time on this. I'm sorry for thinking, you know, that's his stressors, but
I make a motion to deny.
I'll second it.
Chair Whitsitt, yes. Commissioner Romero? Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, the next item we have is,
Before we move on to that, what happens now that he's not gonna pay the restoration, well, he's not gonna give us a restoration fee, what goes forward?
he's getting the restoration fee and it'll go in his taxes.
But what'll happen, it'll just keep billing? Like, we'll just keep
Once a
billing
year.
fees?
Well, yeah, I mean, so what ideally will happen is, like you just said, I mean, he'll hit $8,000 in taxes on these properties, and in theory, it becomes not profitable to
Maintain that, keep that.
or own it. Yeah, I mean, ideally, like, if
That's
you're,
the point of the blighted,
Right.
really.
yeah, I mean, the idea is that if you're not going to do maintenance, then you're gonna pay with, the way I kind of look at this is we do a lot of administrative work on these properties because they're constantly garbage, shoveling snow.
Right.
Like I said, he doesn't have an agent, so we're pretty much doing all of this stuff.
And he said that clearly, you
Yeah,
do it.
he admits that, yeah. So ideally, what we're trying to do is make it so that people who are improving their properties and people who are taking care of their properties aren't paying, basically paying the difference of
Costs,
taxes.
right.
So if you want to maintain a property that we have to maintain, then you kind of have to pay the privilege of having us do all of your administrative and like housekeeping work.
But it'll continue getting fees until,
Yeah, so I think
and
he's
until
going
he
to do
decides I'm done, otherwise,
Well, I think he's accruing administrative fees as
Right.
well, and I think if you do a year, I think we broke that down to 1 year on admin fees is like $12,000.
and so if this continues and there's no, it just keeps getting put on, it gets put on the tax roll at that point, correct?
Yeah.
And then,
So we end up with like a $15,000 tax bill.
okay, thanks.
I mean, if we wanted to, we could,
What, I just wasn't sure, is there like a way for us to get involved and say, well, this is still not getting resolved?
yeah, so what we can do is, I mean, we can take him to court for state code violations, like we could write him like summons tickets, and those are like up to $1,000 per day per violation. Like recently, the Schenectady court awarded like a $660,000 settlement against the landlord, like a determination against the landlord for state code violations.
City court was quite so,
So we have actually had success with state court lately. The thing with that is those fees are much harder to recoup because they don't attach to property. So we would be getting determinations against himself. So he has nothing to, if he's not gonna pay the ticket, he's not gonna pay the ticket.
Right.
So with this system, we think there's a little better mechanism, because in the end, if his tenant isn't paying rent like he says, how long can you make a $14,000 tax bill before you say this just isn't worth it and you walk away?
Okay, thank you.
All right, so thank you for all of that discussion, and it's unfortunate, but that's why we have a blighted ordinance, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So the next one we have is 37 River Street. Do we have any pictures of 37 River Street?
No, so this one is a different situation. This one is listed on Airbnb as a short-term rental. It has been fixed up inside, but it's been transformed from a single family to a multi-residence building with 4 units, no building permit, fire separations aren't in place. So I got a tenant complaint, and I went down and looked, and the girl said, she was like, "This is a very odd apartment." And I said, "Yes, because it was converted. It's a converted floor, and it's not a complete floor, and you've got a hollow core door. How many units is this?" And she said there were 4. And I said, "We don't have any record of this. The state code automatically says that building is unsafe. The state code does." So here, I'm asking for an unsafe because I'm fairly certain that the egresses aren't in place.
Right, and fire separation.
Fire separations aren't in place, and anytime you do something to that effect, I mean, you need to go through a zoning process.
Right. Okay, so it's another, you're right, it's, the conditions are different than we usually find, but I think the argument for this particular property is appropriate, and that is that it's a fire hazard from its conversion, and it needs to go through zoning.
So I also talked to the property owner who told me that she has the units occupied as well. So we know there are people living in the units.
Okay, so we also need, so.
House from my back window. I lost from my
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so based on the evidence that has been presented and the sections of code identified, I make a motion that we declare this property unsafe based on sections G and J of Chapter 92.
Commissioner Brassey?
Mhm.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Okay, based on that determination, and having heard the recommendation of the code enforcement office, I would make a motion that we order this property vacated. And what else would you like? That's it.
Submission of an engineering report. Engineers or architects reviewing the building.
design
Architects
professional.
review, engineer/architect.
You can also use the term design professional. That's what's in the state code.
Oh, design professional,
Sorry.
okay. If that's what we should be saying, that's good.
Give a timeline on the vacated order.
We're going to order it vacated within 30 days.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that good with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, second?
Second, sorry. Chair Baxter?
Yes.
Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Evans?
Yes. All right, and then finally, we have 40 Cherry Street, and the owner of this property asked that this be tabled until our next meeting. The owner of the property is experiencing some health issues. However, if any of you drove by this building, there are gaping holes around the foundation, and it's accessible through the foundation. The property itself is pretty shabby, but you guys have nothing inside. But I I need to look at chapter 92. However, Mr. Boyd did not receive any notice that we were going ahead after he asked that it be put over. So I think, instead of declaring it unsafe at this meeting, that we should put it on the table it till next meeting, but send a letter to Mr. Boyd saying the property must be secured. So that there's a fence around the property so that people won't fall into the hole that has been created.
Can you give them 15 days to secure it?
Yeah, I think that's the minimum that, I feel very worried about this property.
I drove by, it's pretty scary looking.
So I don't think just sitting on it, I mean, this is one where we could have an emergency
For many reasons.
Except for many reasons. It's scary.
for many reasons.
Yeah.
And whatever the inside looks like, the outside is a construction zone hazard.
Do we really need a petition, the person here, in order to say that a building is unsafe? Like, I understand that he had health issues, but that's, I mean, neither here nor there. It's not safe. It's really scary.
I know, but notice is important. In the code, in chapter 92, it requires the person to get notice.
So, and I request that we look at it again in a week or 2 weeks.
I mean,
You could order it.
Say again?
You could order it secured.
yeah, I think we can order it secured without it being found unsafe. Under the emergency provisions of chapter 92, we just weren't going to find it unsafe. Let me find
I
chapter.
think when we bring this one back to you too, I think we're gonna ask for a blighted determination as well.
Okay, let me read to you chapter 92, section 6. In cases where it reasonably appears that there is immediate danger to the life and safety of any person unless unsafe building is defined herein is immediately repaired, vacated, or demolished, the city engineer shall report such facts to the Board of Public Service, and the Board of Public Service shall cause the immediate repair, vacation, or demolition of such unsafe building,
Without having to give notice.
without having to give notice. So I think we can go ahead with securing the property, at least telling Mr. Boyd that the property needs to be secured within a week. And we'll, if you want to have a special meeting, we can do it. But in a way, we can do it.
Can we make a motion that it be secured within a week, otherwise we, the city, will do that?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just like we send out long rules. Same thing. You have 5 days.
I'd like to make that motion if we can, and then we look at it.
To include the
At the next meeting.
At the next meeting. I think that will give us the flexibility and allow these guys to take action if no action is taken without us having Mr. Boyd here. I mean, he's going to get a letter right away.
Yes.
That he has until September 8th to secure the exterior of the building. Or the property.
Foundation of the building, not the building itself, it's the outside.
Why would you say secure? He needs to secure the building. Because the foundation is open.
No, I mean like the property itself,
Yeah.
not just the,
Yeah.
He needs to put a fence around it. Okay, so if that's acceptable to you guys and to ourselves, then let's do that. So we have a motion. Second? Okay. Chair Mercer? Yes. Commissioner Livermore?
Yes.
Commissioner Evans?
yes.
And have that based on chapter 92, sub 6, emergency cases. Okay? All right, so that's what we have today, except we're waiting for you to give us a report on our project.
So
Gucci, he is our city
Public Works
engineer.
Director.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
The Livermore, yeah. Okay.
I was planning on coming to make a recommendation that we implement voluntary conservation efforts for water. However, the recent rain we had has given us about 5 inches of water in our reservoir. Based on our emergency plan for water supply, the emergency the water emergency declaration chain of command, who, we're supposed to notify the Board of Public Service once the reservoir reaches 74 inches from the spillway down.
Right.
It used to be 66 inches, but we added 8 inches of concrete with the spillway project we did last year. So we were at 73.5 inches Monday, and with all the rain we had, what was it, Tuesday, Wednesday? I measured it about an hour ago, and we were at 69 inches. So we're not going to...
Not there yet, we're not there.
Because...
Do you want us to approve a voluntary, if it goes below the thing, so that you don't have to wait a whole month to come back and see us, or, you know,
I guess if it hits that point...
I mean, it is our job under the code to call for both mandatory and voluntary. I think it would be a good idea for us to just be ready for that.
Okay.
So I think the board is willing to give you that authority at today's meeting if it goes back below, and then you can just go ahead and notify the public.
Okay.
So I think that's what I make a motion that we authorize the city engineer to declare voluntary water conservation measures based on our water conservation plan. At any time in the future that the reservoir goes below 70, where are we, 74?
Right now we're at 69 inches, 74 inches is the...
Oh, 74 inches, so if it goes below 74 inches.
The next action level is 110 inches.
Right.
So we're okay. I mean, it's not...
Yeah.
We're okay.
No, that's good. But we do want to allow you to act on a moment's notice.
Yes.
And so I think that's what we're talking about today. So
How long
I
does that stay in place though? If we make that motion today?
until it goes back to,
Indefinite, no. I mean, is it an indefinite motion? The way
No,
the way it's worded,
yes.
it's indefinite.
No.
It says at any time in the
At any
future.
time in the near future, it's indefinite.
So, until the winter.
Until, I was gonna say until the end of 2022?
Yeah, let's say till the end of 2022, that's a good idea. Any time in the future in 2022, and if it falls below that, in 2023, you'll come back to us. Okay, so I made a motion,
Second it.
I think we're gonna do it by acclamation. So, go ahead, you can do it. Go on the second. So you'll have 2 seconds. That's the acclamation.
I do have...
Information is just no negative votes.
Oh, okay, all right, good.
I have a question.
Yeah, certainly.
It doesn't really state how to notify people of the voluntary conservation efforts.
Nixle.
Just a nixle is good enough?
Usually we put a notice in the newspaper. We put a little article in the newspaper. I'm sure your office has a template of that because Mary Ann has done it in the past.
I just wasn't sure if I could do a mailing to all.
Oh, no.
Okay, just
Nixle and a notice in the newspaper.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. That's how we've done it in the past anyway. You know, if we redo the water conservation book, which I've been advocating for a long time, maybe we could include those as either recommended or mandatory notices, because it's terribly expensive to send a letter out to everybody.
It is.
But these other things work just fine and have worked in the past.
Sounds good.
Okay, anything new from you guys? Anything from you?
Chestnut.
Chestnut.
Oh, Chestnut.
So
Oh,
apparently Chestnut was discussed in a meeting that I wasn't here on. So what happened was, I guess there was a letter that was sent out to Mr. Gouster that said the blighted determination is reinstated. So at the February meeting, I was like, geez, what happened at the February meeting when they met with Scott Gouster? January, I'm sorry, January.
We just waived the fee.
He waived the fee and said Mr. Gouster had to supply us with a restoration agreement with dates supplied through December of 2022. He did. That restoration agreement is still in effect. He's met everything to that point. But there is no fee that has been rebuilt to him. Now, if you override us as the code office and say, we don't accept the agreement anymore, that's, I don't even know how
I
to.
don't know, what's the agreement? I mean, I don't think we have any.
I thought the original was that he had come here and he had not paid the fee because he didn't meet his restoration agreement that was in place. And then he was supposed to, we waived the fee and we gave him
Another chance.
to fix it. And then he put in cars and the work hadn't been done in July. I was here July because I wasn't here August. And that's when I questioned it.
So, I mean, like,
Well, does he satisfy you?
he's satisfied in terms of the agreement.
I mean, the original point of these one-year things were that they're required to have these buildings back in compliance in a year. So my thing that I and I advised this back when Scott was giving his presentation or whatever you call that. Yeah, his dissertation on supply chain shortages and like, the point of these isn't to keep amending them. The point is, you have 1 year from this date to this date to bring your property into compliance, not to give us a dissertation on how you can't get material and how you can't. So my position on these that are starting to hit multiple year,
Right.
these aren't meeting. I mean, I understand we've taken a new restoration agreement and that was part of the board's, but I again would just advise that we stop giving these weird extensions because that's how we end up where we're at now. Where we told Scott, okay, well, give us a new one, we'll try again, because that just keeps.
Okay, well, and one of the problems that the board has seen, which goes against a little bit what you were saying, is that the last 2 years have been cuckoo. And there have been problems with getting people to do work, and there have been problems to getting materials to do the work, and
Scott is
So he had fired his own house, that's when he came to us and said, this is my house, I have to secure my house first. Okay, fine. All of his furniture from his house was being stored in the house that wasn't being fixed, so it was not even being worked on at the time. And that's when I didn't, but everybody had decided to, okay, well, I live around the corner, I don't want to see it anymore. It's been over 10 years that I've had a look at this house, and that my neighbors have complained about, and being on council that they've complained about, so.
I mean, one option is we just start writing state code violations.
But it wasn't even just that, I mean, at that point, the door was open, and that's when I had to come back and say, what's going on? The door was open, so anybody could go in there, they weren't working on it, there was stuff in it, and then they had piles of garbage in the driveway, they had dead cars, which they still have a dead van in the driveway, visible to the street, and it was overgrown and all of that, so he wasn't even fixing the property, and now he's acquired the property next door to him.
What?
Which
Is what I was told.
What?
which one?
Right next to the hotel, the red one.
Okay, so we've heard your request that we are more stringent with our timetables and that we don't allow, I think now that we're getting a little bit back to normal,
Right.
we feel like maybe we aren't overburdening people by requiring them to have them within 1 year. So we're listening, I think we understand that, but I'm not sure we want to override in this case. Maybe we do.
I don't think you should. I think what we're going to do is we'll have a conversation with Scott, and if we have to, we'll just start taking it. Because my problem with this particular house is he has owned this property for longer than I've worked as a code officer. He bought this house before I was even employed by the city. So,
So, I mean, yeah, Dana will tell you that, yes.
yeah.
I'm not just talking about him in particular, anybody that is special, the blighted properties. I thought the concept of us doing this was to have them fixed, not keep changing. I'm just give me a little longer, just give me a little longer. I can't do that at my house without starting to get fined either, even if I'm,
Well, and I want to say, when these people miss their dates, they miss them. I mean, that means you get the fee.
Immediately.
They will all appeal, which almost all of them have, and they resubmit new restoration agreements because you require it. You said submit a new one. Rose Avenue is another one for me.
Right.
We've got a new restoration agreement, I just watch it, and I watch it, and I wait, and I have a suspicion, come December of 2022,
I'm gonna get another.
there will be, a meeting will be missed, and we will be back in front of you saying, here's the fee. And, we're looking to fix them as quickly as possible. I mean, we don't like them blighted, we don't like them abandoned, have to secure them, pipes explode in the house.
Okay, so we've heard that, and I think we're not going to override you on, if you decide that Mr. Gouster has met his requirements, but there are other things that are not met, that are outside of, like the abandoned car, that's something you can ticket him for. I think you're not supposed to have unregistered cars on.
Correct.
It's a state code too, so.
Yeah. Do you want us to reinstate the fee? I mean, is that the goal?
Well, I think at this point you can't because he's resubmitted his thing, he's technically met his dates.
Right.
But I mean, beauty of the code, it says like, this method of enforcement is not separate from other, so I mean, we can pursue other methods.
I think when I had made the motion, it was, I thought I understood you that he still hadn't done what he was supposed to do as far as coming up with a restoration agreement, is what I think we talked about.
Okay, then.
So after the January meeting, he got that to me like immediately. Fee. So I think I received it a day or two after the North Public Service meeting. Of course, he scheduled all the repairs to where they're done by December of 2022.
That's around the corner, so.
Yeah, it's right down the road. So we'll see.
Right, so I think at that point we should be prepared for another deal
And we won't give it to him. I mean, once you become a scofflaw, once you haven't met one agreement, you don't need another one. Right. I think our position is that we don't go beyond one. You get one shot to clean property or inability to get things or illness or some crisis, and then after that.
Well, I think the other thing you have to look at with all these is Carol Schemmerling's, Scott Gouster's, Jeff all those properties have never been in compliance. It's not that they're not compliant with the blight ordinance, none of them have been in compliance with any of our ordinances. So it's not even like giving them one shot. I mean, the blight thing is a way to attempt to get something from people that they're not doing anything.
So we want them to do something. I'm glad we didn't escalate any more strongly with Mr. Beaver, I was a little worried. Oh, should we close the meeting?